The law of the universe is simply the law of the universe. It plays no favorites. You cannot say one thing and mean another and get what you said you wanted. You will only get what you put out. And it doesn't matter. You see, we think if we say it, it's out. No, if you think it, and you provide the energy with that, that is what it's going to be. So, we, as children, like to think that we can hide from our parents. I can say, well, I didn't do it. Well, you were the only person in the house other than me, and I didn't do it. Okay. You remember doing stuff like that. It wasn't me. Well, we like to think that we can do that. We like to think that we can hide from people. Well, it's not people that's the issue. It's the law. So the law will bring you in kind, not specific things. Not if you take my bicycle, the law, somehow somebody comes along and takes your bicycle. No, it's not quite like that. What you want to realize is that it will be in kind. You take something from someone, something will be taken from you. It could be your life. It could be most anything. But that's the law. So it doesn't matter if you try and hide it. You're not hiding it from anyone. You are living within the perfect law. It gives you exactly what you deserve. Exactly. We have a tendency as people to think, I have the right to be any way I choose. Well, that is so. That is so. But I will say to you, in terms of the law, it is simply arrogance, and the law doesn't care. It's still going to bring you what you deserve. If you are negative in thought or negative, it's going to bring you that. It doesn't matter that you think it's okay. It doesn't matter that I think it's okay. If I think it's okay, then I have to accept the consequences or the comeback of that. If you want peace, well, you have to have peace with your feet being held to the fire if you can. It's a quick dance, but that's up to every individual to do that. If we desire life to be different, then we have to make sure that that which creates our life is different. We have to understand, well, let me just leave that word out there. We have to understand. Understanding brings us release. We don't, it's not like you're ever going to think a negative thought again. It's not like that. It's just you will recognize it's just a thought and it just passes through. Thoughts are not yours. Thoughts belong to everyone. And they're just in the air. Now, it depends upon how you have conditioned yourself as to which ones you will catch hold of. As to which ones you will catch hold of. So, the ideas that float through and you grab hold of, you must be damn sure that that's what you want to grab hold of. When we are free, we choose what we want. I'm not saying to you life is going to be the same for everyone. What I'm saying to you is everyone will create their lives consciously, aware, fully aware of what you're doing. And when you do that, you will be at peace. Fully aware. Right? Not partially aware, partially habitually, but fully aware, and you will make choices. And you will make different choices at different times, because the circumstances of different times call for different choices. Even the most holy thing at the wrong time is satanic. At the wrong time. Therefore, it is important not to just hear words and repeat those words, but to understand what you're saying. And it becomes perfectly obvious to the world if you don't understand what you're saying. If you don't understand what you're saying, you can't answer the question. If you don't understand. If you do understand, there's an ease to which you answer the questions, and there's an ease to what you do. Certain kinds of habits of rudeness. We say, well, it doesn't really hurt anybody. It's kind of funny. Well, yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. Hurts you. Because it depends upon the energy behind what you said inside. Because that's what's coming back. It's not about what it's going to do to that other person. That's their responsibility. Okay. It's about what it's going to bring back to you. So we have to understand what it is we're saying. I hear people all the time say things, and their energy and their body language shows something very negative, and they'll say, well, no, I didn't mean it that way. Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. You meant it that way, because I heard you. Okay. You can't bullshit the law. See, the law is going to bring that right back. If you want to succeed at something, you have to believe in bounty. You have to believe that there are all these things for you. Now, what does that mean? It means that you cannot entertain negativity. It means that if it's not going like you think it should go right now, and you get minus goal, you start to look at yourself and get down on yourself, that's what you're creating. But you have to if you come to a point where there's a wall, the next question is, what do I do? And let me look at that situation and learn how to overcome it. So you're looking plus goal. You're looking in a positive way and creating. But if you're fighting inside, struggling inside, you just have an abundance of negativity. Whereas the other way, you will have an abundance of positive things, plus goal things. So, the question would become, what do I want? And what do I do about it? You're not going to always want the same thing the same way. There's an old saying, be careful what you ask for, you just might get it. You find you get it, you go, oh, that's not what I wanted. Okay. But we have to be that way. I like Lovie Smith, the coach of the Bears. If there's something wrong with it, there you go. See ya. No, I don't mean anything personal, but this is not being done. I think we had a conversation about the play of the defensive line. Just in passing, we had that conversation. At the end of the season, who was the first person fired? The defensive line coach. You got to go. And then the defensive coordinator. You got to go. We're not on the same page. We can say that that is a ruthless attitude. I will say to you, that is the attitude that will save your butt. Okay. When it comes to these things, the negativity, you have to say, I didn't win my personal Super Bowl because you didn't do what you, that thought, that desire didn't uphold its end of the bargain. It's got to go. It's got to go. I can't catch hold of that anymore. I can't try and ride that thought anymore. So we have to kind of change the entire thing. Now, this is just talking about the law of creation. We're not talking about awakening or enlightenment, the great enlightenment, which is usually what I'm talking about. I'm talking about one of the steps along the way to just making our lives different. Okay? Just making our lives different, making our lives easier. There's always going to be stuff, because everything runs its course. And when it runs its course, you have to be prepared to take another course. That means all along that path, all along that line, you're looking. You're looking at what all the opportunities are, what all the possibilities are, right along the line. You come to that wall. Okay, now what? What are the conditions? Can I pick up something from here and go this way? Can I pick up something from here and go this way? You see, the attitude is always plus go. It's always about moving forward. It's never about getting out or moving back. Failure should never be an option. I don't know, back in, I think it was in the early 50s. I know most of you remember that. There was a movie called Retreat Hell with Frank Lovejoy. It was about a war, some war, I don't know. And the Americans were just getting the crap kicked out of them. And so they decided go another direction. And somebody said, you mean we're going to retreat? I said, retreat hell? We're just attacking from a different direction. So sometimes we have to attack from a different direction. Okay. We have to look at the circumstances and go another way. But if you recognize, and this is what ultimately we are about here, if you look ultimately at awakening to yourself, you're constantly processing information. Great waves of information, constantly processing that. so that things don't come up so badly. Nothing really surprises you because you've seen that possibility. You don't want to be negative. You don't want to be short. You don't want to be small, because this makes your world that way. You have to be open. You have to be just open. Some will say open to new possibilities. Just open. If you're open, you see. If you always take the energy in you and let it turn positive, let it feel good, then that's the fuel for your creation. That's the fuel. That's the thing that's behind the movement. That's the thing that's behind the creation. Now, the thought that you put on it, okay, the thought takes on the coloration of the energy, thereby creating positive situations. But if we don't allow that energy to change, it's just going to bring the negative. Creation. Some of our greatest artists of all time, in all fields, have been some rather sick puppies. Okay, they've had a few problems, you know. What they did was took all that energy from where they were and turned it into the David, the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. They turned that energy into this because of the way they thought. Newton, people like that, turn that energy into discovery. That's what we need to do. That's exactly what we need to do in everything that we do in life. But you can't pretend. Now, see, you can't get there without doing the work. If you don't do the work, you can't get there. When I say if you don't do the work, so we're back to that technique, okay, of understanding the energy, of understanding what's happening. When we feel something, we need to be aware of what it is that we are feeling. We need to be aware of its nature. And its nature is not always what we think it is. See, this is important to understand, that we think something is bad, or we think this is as far as I can go, which limits how far we can go. A lot of things make us uncomfortable. Remember now, being uncomfortable is not necessarily bad. Being uncomfortable, you know, if you sit on a hot stove, that feeling of discomfort tells you to get up. Okay? You don't have to debate with it or decide, well, should I get up? No. That feeling of discomfort tells you to move. Well, it is the same thing in other ways. But also, sometimes that feeling of discomfort is you haven't been there before. You haven't been in this new space. And you don't quite know what to do in this new space. So it feels uncomfortable. And one of the things I've said to you is you have to learn how to be comfortable with discomfort. Because it's going to always come. If you're doing what a human being should do, which is grow and change. I don't know what it is, but okay, I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take it. Now let me see what it is. And as with all things, you will become too comfortable with it and stop moving and growing until the next shot. So that next shot. Well, we learn. We learn if we're smart. We are uncomfortable. That's okay. It's all right. Better to be uncomfortable than to be miserable. We need that change. Expansion. To expand. To keep expanding. If you blow up a balloon, if the balloon had nerve endings, it would be uncomfortable because it's changing. And that's the way you are. And the same thing that happens to the balloon ultimately, pow! Whereas the air inside the balloon integrates with the air outside of the balloon. In that same way, when your idea structures of what is pop, you once again become reunited with the whole of your consciousness. In the same way. In the same way. And it's no longer uncomfortable because you've become comfortable with being uncomfortable. And when that happens, now you're ready to assume the responsibility of what you really are. What you really are. Or to accept the responsibility of what you really are. I think that we are afraid to accept the mantle of being God. We slight our creations, our ability to create, because we don't feel that we have the power.